One of the most common assumptions I hear from business owners is people only move offshore because they want lower tax. I think that's completely wrong, and it's one of the biggest reasons many business owners misunderstand what's happening globally right now. Because the business owners creating international options aren't usually obsessed with tax. They are obsessed with something far more valuable: flexibility. And the consequence of misunderstanding this can be significant. Because if you think international planning is only about tax, you'll probably start looking at it far too late. And by then, many of the best opportunities may already be behind you. Hi, I'm Vina White, CEO of WellSafe. In the last episode, I talked about why more business owners are quietly creating exit options after the federal budget. Today, I want to talk about something even more important: why more business owners are looking beyond Australia altogether. Not because they dislike Australia, not because they are abandoning Australia, and not because they're chasing the lowest tax country they can find, but because the world has changed and many business owners are adapting to that reality. For most of history, business and geography were tied together. If you owned a business in Australia, you lived in Australia, you employed Australians, you sold to Australians. Your customers were local, your opportunities were local, your life was local. Today, that's no longer true. A consultant in Melbourne can serve clients in Singapore. A software company in Brisbane can sell globally. An e-commerce business can operate across multiple continents. A founder can manage teams across 5 countries. A business owner can be physically located almost anywhere. The rules of business have changed, but many people's thinking hasn't. They are still making decisions as though geography is fixed, when in reality, geography has become optional. One of the biggest mistakes I see business owners make is asking which country has the lowest tax. It sounds logical, but it's usually the wrong question because tax is only one variable. The real question is which country best supports the future that I want to create. That's a completely different conversation because business owners don't live inside tax systems. They live inside entire environments that influence their business, wealth, family, lifestyle, and future opportunities. Tax matters, but it's only one factor in a much larger decision. The most successful business owners evaluate the entire environment, not just tax outcome. The most sophisticated business owners I work with rarely start with tax. They start with outcomes. They ask, where do I want my family to be? What lifestyle do I want? What opportunities do I want available to my children? What markets do I want access to? How internationally mobile do I want to become? How resilient do I want my wealth to be? How flexible do I want my future options to be? Only after answering those questions do they start evaluating jurisdictions, because they understand that structure should follow strategy, not the other way around. Recently, I spoke with a business owner who initially came to us wanting to reduce tax. 20 minutes into the conversation, it became obvious tax wasn't actually the issue. What he really wanted was more flexibility for his family, greater mobility, and more options for the future. Tax was simply one part of a much bigger conversation. And that's something I see repeatedly. The most successful business owners really start with tax. They start with the future they want to create and then build a strategy that supports it. There are reasons countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, Ireland, and others continue attracting entrepreneurs and internationally mobile families. It isn't simply tax. It's predictability, it's certainty, it's infrastructure, it's banking, it's access, it's business friendliness, it's strategic location, it's efficiency, and perhaps most importantly, it's optionality. Business owners value environments that support growth rather than create friction. That's not a criticism of Australia. It's simply recognizing that different jurisdictions offer different advantages, and successful business owners evaluate those advantages objectively. Here's where many people get into trouble. They become excited about a particular country. They watch a few YouTube videos, use AI tools such as ChatGPT and others, read a few articles, see a few social media posts, and they assume they found the answer. But country selection without strategy is dangerous because what works for one person may be completely wrong for another. A country that suits a retired investor may be terrible for a business owner or founder. A country that suits a digital entrepreneur may be unsuitable for a family. A country that works for a crypto investor may create challenges for a business owner. This is why copying somebody else's plan can be extremely expensive. The right country is always dependent on the individual strategy. The real shift I'm seeing isn't people fleeing Australia. The real shift is that business owners are becoming globally aware. They are recognizing they have more choices than previous generations. They're recognizing that where they live, bank, invest, and structure their affairs is no longer predetermined. They're recognizing that international diversification isn't just for multinational corporations anymore. And they're recognizing that waiting until pressure exists is really the best approach. This is the same lesson I've seen repeatedly throughout history. The people with the most flexibility are usually the people who prepare before they needed it. If you're a business owner watching this, you don't need to decide today whether you will leave Australia. That's not the point. The point is understanding that creating options has value, even if you never use them. Understanding your alternatives has value, even if you stay exactly where you are, because optionality itself is an asset. And the business owners who tend to navigate change best are really the ones scrambling after the fact. They are the ones who prepared beforehand. One of the biggest misconceptions in international planning is that it's about finding the lowest tax country. In reality, it's about finding the right strategy because the best country is rarely the cheapest. The best country is usually the best one that supports your business, your family, your goals, and your future. I'm Vina White from WellSafe. In the next episode, I'm going to cover one of the most expensive mistakes business owners make when creating international options, why timing matters more than most people realize, and why waiting until you're ready to leave is often the worst time to start planning. I'll see you in the next episode.